Hey everybody, before I get started, I just want to mention a couple of ways that you can engage with me on a more personal level. I have a few avenues set up and I keep focusing on one, and I figured why don't I make a short little video talking about all of them real quick before we get into these episodes. So first thing, Patreon. There's a link in the episode description, in every episode description to the Patreon, as well as a video on the feed called Major Announcement that has all the details of what each tier offers and how much they cost. I implore you to check that out. I offer a lot of cool shit for my patrons. Second thing, the Discord channel. There's also a Discord link in the episode description and in every episode description. I have multiple channels set up there for each show that I'm covering, and it's a great way to just engage with me. I have a channel set up for MMA talk as well. I'm a big MMA fan, so if you're an MMA fan, you can check that out as well. There's a link to the Discord in the episode description. And then lastly, the Facebook and Twitter. Social media. Follow me on there. I post news on there. When I say news, I mean like, hey, I'm stopping covering this show. Hey, I'm starting covering this show. Let me know what you think about this. I do live watches of things on Facebook where like I'll check in and say I'm watching so-and-so show, and then I'll like live comment while I'm watching it, and that'll be cool if maybe you watch that show too and you want to watch along with me, or you're watching it later and you will see my thoughts, which are usually pretty entertaining because I'm usually pretty high when I'm writing them. So check out all those links in each episode description, and let's talk about this episode. Peace.
One mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, and today I'm here to talk about Season 1, Episode 5 of Apple TV's Lessons in Chemistry, entitled CH3COOH. This episode title here is based on the chemical formula / equation for vinegar, which is revealed toward the end of the episode in a way that's kind of meant to inform us all, the audience, just how popular the first airing of Elizabeth's show was. So, getting into the episode, if I'm being honest with you guys, I'm not sure I want to continue even watching this show, let alone covering it. And to be clear, this is not one of those usual situations where I think a show is so bad that it's not worth watching. That's not what's happening here. It's just that I don't think that after 5 episodes, this show has done enough to hook me in. Like, I found each of the last 2 episodes to just be really, really uninteresting and long and bloated and just not entertaining. Interestingly enough, I was more into this show before they killed Calvin than after, which is surprising because I was pretty intrigued by how the loss of Calvin would impact Elizabeth's life. But when Calvin was alive, I thought the dynamic between the two of them was compelling, and I was interested in how they would essentially combat misogyny together, using Calvin's reputation to elevate Elizabeth's work and research. But since Calvin's died, it's like the show has just kind of badgered me with like heavy-handed examples of misogyny, and Brie Larson giving me like the best Sheldon Cooper impersonation she can do. And like, the story is moving at a molasses type pace, and I'm not even sure I'm interested in where it's going, or if where it's going is even interesting. But at least the dog didn't narrate any aspects of this episode. But, we just got to Elizabeth's first episode of the show in this episode, and I'm just finding myself wondering if the show exists for no purpose other than reminding me how shitty misogyny is, because the story of her being forced into like dryly hosting a science-based cooking show, it's just not hooking me right now. And I don't know if it's the fault of the show, if it's the fault of the book. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit later in the video, but I kind of wonder if in the creation of this show, there was something lost between what is fit for book and what is fit for television. Like if there's a disconnect, if there was like, hey, we're just going to translate the book, and there wasn't enough thought given to, hey, maybe some of this stuff doesn't work on the television. But maybe if Elizabeth was a more dynamic character, or if the events of her life were a little bit more interesting. And when I say a little bit more interesting, I mean, like the pre-Calvin stuff almost felt like over the top. Like, wow, this is like ridiculously like too much shit happening to her. And since then, like nothing at all. But it's just like every scene, like I said, is meant to lazily remind me of misogyny. This week there's this focus group of men who said that in Elizabeth's show she should have smiled more. General unimaginative examples of misogyny. And then that Elizabeth doesn't want to do, and there's another aspect of the show that's just kind of weird on me. She doesn't want to do the thing that is the focus of the show. And I'm like, it's kind of tough for me to get into the idea of Elizabeth's show when Elizabeth doesn't give a fuck about the idea of Elizabeth's show. And, like I said, a lot of this stuff I think presumably works in the book that could have made the book great, and it just doesn't translate well to TV. I mentioned the dog narration a moment ago and in previous videos, and I bet in the book it provides a unique perspective and insight from a unique perspective, not just like a unique perspective, but from a unique perspective. And on TV though, it just feels like I'm watching Alf, and it's weird, and I don't know. I don't think it works. Another way that in which this is happening, at least for me, I'm not speaking for you guys, is with Brie Larson's performance. Elizabeth's dry, flat personality, it probably works in the book because it gives the male character something to attack her about. You should smile more, shit like that. It's nothing more than just a personality trait that exists in the text to let us know this is the kind of person she is, and so that's why misogynistic men treat her this way. Fine. But when you bring that character to the screen, where it's quite literally the opposite of just text, and you need this person, this actor, to show me things that I can see and to say things that I can hear, and then you got Brie Larson out here giving me like, I'm just reading the script while I sit on the toilet energy. It's just not working. Sorry, my back itches like a motherfucker. But it just feels like this is her interpretation. And I don't want to say that that's what this is, but this is what it feels like, is her interpretation of an intelligent person. Like, that they're so smart, they must be devoid of all personality. And like I said, that's probably not her interpretation. It's likely just the way she's described in the book, but that's just what it feels like for me watching it on the screen. And I think the creators, like I said, of the show, they probably should have given a little bit more thought to what translates well to the screen and what doesn't. That's really all I got to say about that. I mentioned a moment ago about how the displays of misogyny feel lazy, and how the examples make me roll my eyes more each week. I already mentioned the focus group that talked about Elizabeth's show. Earlier in the episode, when Elizabeth is arriving on the set, a guy walks past her and he goes, "Coffee?" And she's like, "Yeah, how do you take it?" And out loud, I was like, oh my fucking God. Like, yeah, wow, I get it. Women are so subservient in this culture at this time that she instinctively thought that this was a request. Like, oh my God, how shocking the misogyny was back then. But that didn't even feel true to Elizabeth's character. Like, they just had to insert the 138th example of misogyny and how women don't fit into society at this time, and they didn't even think about how this example did not fit and it wasn't true to who this character's been to this point. And like, that's what I'm talking about, where it's like, you just want to be woke and you want to make this point, and you're like, oh, look how we're highlighting how shitty women were treated. But you're doing it lazily, and you're doing it now in a way where, like, that's not even how Elizabeth would have responded to that moment, based on the Elizabeth that you've shown me prior to wanting to inundate me with examples of misogyny. So like, that's the kind of shit where I'm just like, you know what? I don't know if I need to watch this anymore, because I don't need to be badgered with lazy examples of lazy and unimaginative examples of misogyny. Also, while paired with a story that, like, not only is it not that interesting, but the main character in the story don't seem that interested with it. So it's like, what am I supposed to do? Like, when have we ever seen Elizabeth be a doormat like that? Like, I don't know, man. Her trademark this entire show has been not taking any shit because she's a woman, and now I'm supposed to believe the servitude is so ingrained in her that it's instinctual for her to be like, yes, I will get your coffee. How do you like it? Like, no, you didn't think about that because you just wanted to just fuck me nonsensically with fucking examples of misogyny and lazy, like I said, lazy and unimaginative ones at that. And that's why I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. But I think they're also setting up some of these subplots that I don't even see worth dragging out like this. Like I initially thought the whole thing with Mad and Amanda, that's the other kid that they're becoming friends, was just to connect Elizabeth with Amanda's father. Like, I don't know his character's name. I still just call him Stuart from Big Bang Theory, but whatever the case may be, they've continued this friendship between the two of them now, so I'm thinking it must be going somewhere. I'm just not sure that I care where that is, because they haven't really given it too much attention or really given me an idea of where it might go. They also seem to be setting up something with this Reverend helping Mad learn more about Calvin, which again, I'm not saying it's going somewhere uninteresting, but I can't think of an interesting place it could be going, because like, it's not like she's gonna learn that Calvin was Jason Bourne or some shit. Like, she's gonna learn he's a regular fucking guy. Like, so I'm like, what's the fucking, why is she going on this fucking hunt for information? Now, I'm not saying why. Obviously, she wants to learn about her father, but I mean, like, for us, the audience, again, maybe in the book this is interesting, but for me, I'm just sitting here like, okay, there's 3 episodes left, and they're setting up some plot line for her to learn about her father when her father's just a regular fucking guy. Like, as if he's a child molester or something. I'm like, yeah, maybe she would have learned about that. I don't know. I don't know where it's going. I don't know. A subplot I am somewhat invested in is how the show is going to strain Elizabeth's relationship with Matt. Just because I know getting things right is important to Elizabeth, you know, in the lab, in the kitchen, and in the household. And this situation between her and Matt is quickly going south. This situation being Elizabeth's newfound celebrity. And I'm interested to see how it's going to impact her and how she'll respond. I'm also interested in seeing how Matt is going to take to her new school. More so, obviously, she's initially taken to it well. Now that I think about it, Matt might be the most interesting character on the show to me. Matt got in trouble for correcting her teacher. And her teacher said that Matt wasn't fit for the school and that she couldn't learn there and needed to go to a better school. And slight flex, the exact same thing very literally happened to me when I was in the 2nd grade, per my mother. So, of course, I'm going to have a little bit of a connection with Matt. But I'm also invested in the plot line with Harriet in the freeway. But I also feel like I might be a little bit more invested in that plot line than the show is, because did they even touch on that plot line in this episode? Like, I don't even remember. Like, whatever it is moving at a snail's pace. I'm assuming it's going to end up somewhere, again, not that interesting, where Elizabeth is going to use her celebrity to get this freeway not built. Like, you're taking this long to build up to something like that? I don't know. But like I said, with 3 episodes left, I'm not sure I'm going to continue with this one. I'm barely motivated to watch it, let alone cover it. So unless this next episode that I will watch it tonight, unless it really hooks me, this will probably be the end of my coverage of this show. But we'll see. Maybe I'll see you guys tomorrow to talk about episode 6. But right now, my focus is going to be on episode 2 of Invincible. So I will see you guys tomorrow for one or both of those. We'll see. And until then, peace.